Hey everybody, Bob Sears again. Just going to talk a little bit about success and some success ramblings of strategies and ways to reach the goals that you want. The first thing I want to do is say, hey, like this stuff, comment on it, give me some questions to answer. At some point I want to get into sales and some business strategies that we're probably going to be talking about soon, but there's so many things that came to my mind this morning when I thought about doing this video. The first thing I thought of was one of the probably the single most important thing I learned when it came to success was when I read Think and Grow Rich in Tony Robbins. One of the things they talk about is we'll talk about modeling, right? But it sort of stems really from Think and Grow Rich, where he says it's just as easy to become the boat captain or owner as it is to be a worker on the boat. I remember reading that passage and thinking, it's sort of true, isn't it, right? I mean, does it really take much more time, effort, energy to be, the person working on the boat than it does to become the captain? Maybe there's a skill set you have to learn and you have to put a little bit more time in. But the reality is, it's just the focus, right? I mean, you're probably gonna work as hard on the boat and less hard as a captain. I mean, that's why people that are wealthy or successful tend to not be working as hard, right? Andrew Carnegie said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own effort. And that's kind of what made him wealthy, right? And we don't think about that. I always think about how do you work smarter rather than harder. And it's just a different viewpoint. But the other thing that dovetails into what Tony talks about is modeling, right? What one person can do, another person can do, or more importantly, if you model someone that's doing something and you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result, right? And if you think about that, the reality is it's like when I went to school for aviation, that's all you're doing is modeling the pilot next to you, right? You're learning what you need to know, and then he's guiding you because he has more skill level than you do, and you just kind of go through it and practice. And that's the thing I think people don't get. It's like no one really wakes up having the mindset, having everything figured out for what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. It's a work in progress, right? And we really focus, unfortunately, a lot of times on the challenges or the difficulties we have in life as opposed to what did we do good? And that's really where you need to stay, right? But modeling, modeling, it just changes the game, right? I call it the Copycat Method to success, and I've used it over and over and over again. Whenever every place I've ever really worked at, I've always gone, who's the most successful doing what we need to do here? And they point that person out, I'm like, can I spend time with them? That's literally what I would do. When I was in the mortgage business years ago, the first thing I said is, who makes the most money here and who's like the epitome of success that you would like me to follow? And they pointed to a guy, and I went over to him and I said, I want to spend the day with you. And he's like, what? He's like, I go, I just want to listen to you and see what you're doing and how you're doing it. He's like, okay. So, and I mean, every time, that's all I would do. I would just go to the people that were the most successful wherever I was. And ironically enough, in the mortgage business, the modeling I used was, first I went to the most successful person. Then every time I had a challenge on a loan, I would ask the person that was working above me, I go, who closed a loan like this? And he would go, Joe had one the other day, or Susan had one the other day. And I would just literally go over there and go, hey, listen, I get the same loan. Who's the lender you use? What was the guidelines? And before 9 months was up, I had actually memorized most of the guidelines through all the different lenders and all the different challenges of loans that you could have based on all the people I had spoken to that had already done it, right? Talk about copycatting, right? And that's the other thing. We think we can't, we were taught not to cheat, right? And it sounds like cheating, but it's not. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean, most successful people want to share the strategies, the things that they do to get to the result, right? It's all about getting to a result. Now, when you get to a result and it's not the right one, there's also something that Tony used to talk about is the ultimate success formula, right? So figure out what you want, right? Which seems easy enough, but I think that's a big challenge people have. So figure out what you want, right? Take action. Another simple strategy, right? Just do something. And that's the other thing. Just do anything. Anything that gets you towards the goal, right? Anything that you can do on a daily basis. You know, I've talked about the guy, I think, here that I helped create $1 million in 24 hours. And the basic strategy that I told him was, if every business owner and everybody in their life just focused on the single most important thing that would move their life, their business forward, what would happen in 52 or 365 days of the year if you just did that one thing on a daily basis? So, a lot of people do to-do lists, and I always say throw those stupid things away, because inevitably you try to do this small little thing to make you feel like you accomplished something. And that doesn't get it done, because that ends up meaning that you're doing the stupid small little thing that's not really going to put you to where you want to go, but it makes you feel good because you actually did something that day, right? So doing something, I guess, makes you feel better than doing nothing at all. So if you end up doing the single most important thing in your business every single day and in your life, it's amazing the results you get very, very quickly. So that's what you want to focus on. And when you focus on those things, then your whole life changes and your whole business changes, because if you don't stop until you complete that task, you're going to move yourself forward. So, decide what you want. Crazy. Take some action. Oh my gosh, let's not do that. And then decide if it's working or not. So you take action and then you do some evaluation. Okay, so I wanted to do X. Did that actually work out in my favor? Did it not work out in my favor? Did I get good results? Did I get bad results? I mean, you should be able to figure out that it got you somewhere. And then just readjust and do it again. Start from the top. Well, not really from the top, from second. Take action. So, and it's, it's funny. I was also thinking this morning, out in the sauna, I had a lot of time to think. There was, Vince Lombardi used to start every season, right? This winningest coach in football used to start by saying, "This is a football." And everybody jokes about that. And I think, how profound was him doing that every season? And, the players were always like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe he still does that. What's he thinking? But think about that. He always started with the basics. This is a football. Folks, your life, you get one life, right? So why aren't you just focused on thinking about those things, right? Making a decision of where you want to go. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? It doesn't go your way. And that's probably because of the mindset issue and the makeup and the blueprint you have in your head and the paradigms that you have in your head that have shifted you to that negative thinking and the way we are sort of in what we grew up with, and those important people in our lives that told us whether we were good or bad or sad or mad or whatever it was. And you got to get over those things. Their opinion doesn't matter to you, and it shouldn't. And it's so funny how we will literally cripple our lives because of the things that people said to us years ago, or the things that we think are true in our head that aren't even true. And it's just readjusting. It's reevaluating that. My wife did that last night, and I literally told her, I said, take what you just said out of your head and analyze that for a second. And she kind of chuckled, and she's like, what do you mean? I said, like that, and I repeated the statement back, and I said, now pull that out and analyze that and look at what you just said and what does it mean? And she was like, yeah, I kind of get that. And I know it's a weird concept, right? But like, you think, geez, I'm so concerned what that person said. Okay, well, let's take that out and look at it. Why do you care? Like I said, have you ever thought about that person and someone told you something about that person, and were you like, oh my goodness, or were you just like, who cares? She's like, well, I was like, who cares? I go, exactly. So do you think you're special and they're going to think about you in any different way? I'm like, it's all a thought process, guys. It's all thinking going through it and working on it, and that's it, working on it on a daily basis. So I know this is rambling a little bit, and it was a whole mess of key points, but there was a lot of nuggets in there if you guys really start thinking about how to make those decisions. And I keep saying it's just a decision. You're one decision away from changing your life, and I mean that. It's that one light bulb, it's that one epiphany, it's that one thing that you decide to do and you actually take action, and then you get a result, and then you analyze that and you keep on moving forward. And you know, it's that's all it is. And sometimes it's not going to work. Sometimes it's going to be emotionally trying. Sure, you may even, you may have a miserable failure. That's a clue. Don't do that again, right? So even failure is so much. The universe has a tendency to sort of nudge us in the direction we're supposed to go through the failures that we have and the successes we have. So just understand that. It's just a moment in time. Don't get upset about it. So I guess that's it for today. I mean, I really want you guys to think about what I said. Please, please, please follow me. Comment below. Even if it's a negative comment, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. I guess that's all good. And then also, share this as much as you can, because I think, I really want to impress the world to be better and be who they really need to be and move to that next level. That's one of my desires in life. So please do that for me. Do it for yourself. Do it for the people that it could totally impact their lives. And like I say, you're one decision away from changing your life and really making it the life of your dreams. So have a great day.